Imagine moving to a bustling city like Tokyo, thousands of miles from home, surrounded by millions and millions of people, and still feeling completely alone. How do you go from that stark isolation to finding people that you can trust and open up to, especially as a Black woman living in Japan? These are the things I was grappling when I first decided to create Hotties in Tokyo. And you guys said you wanted an update on Hotties in Tokyo, so this is it. But keep in mind, this video is not just going to be about how to make friends. It's about how to build a genuine community and find your chosen family, even when you're thousands of miles from home in one of the most unique cities in the world. Get in, Hotties. We're gonna go find our tribe. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you have the option to hype it, please click the hype button. For some reason, YouTube has decided that hypes are the new likes. And so when you hype my video, you help me as a small content creator cut through the noise of the algorithm, and this video can find its community. Let's get into this. One of the most jarring things about when I first moved to Japan was how isolating it felt immediately. And a lot of that came from this really being my first time in a homogenous society. That's not true. Nigeria is also rather homogenous for the most part. We all Black, but I was part of the homogeny. This was the first time of being a minority in a homogenous society. I think that in and of itself was very stark for me. Obviously, as a Black person in America, I'm no stranger to being the only Black person in the room, but I've always known, well, there's another Black person somewhere, at least in the building. You feel me? I did not have that same sense of like comfort and familiarity upon arrival, and it was incredibly jarring. I think as time went on, this was really amplified by the language barrier. That little bit of Japanese I had been teaching myself up until that point, I'm not gonna say it wasn't cutting it, because that's actually not true at all. It was very helpful. But I will say, whenever I hit a wall in my Japanese, intensified the daily struggles that I was facing, and it added to my frustration, which added to the feeling of helplessness, which added to me feeling even more isolated. It was just like stacking on top of itself. And I think that this is something that a lot of people can relate to when they move to maybe not necessarily a new country, but just to a new place in general, right? Once you really come to terms with how other you are in this new environment, it almost amplifies every other feeling that you're feeling. And I don't know if I would describe myself as an extrovert, truly. I think I'm outgoing. I don't know if I have all of the qualities of an extrovert. I think I have half and half, because when that social battery die, it's done. We gotta wrap it up, okay? That being said, when I got to Japan, I knew, okay, I'm gonna be here for at least a year. I need to find people that I can connect with, because your girl, she like to do this. Y'all know I set up the camera and do this. I do this in person too, okay? I get in the studio at the radio station, do that in person too. Your girl like to do this, okay? She can't help it, all right? And so very early on, I tried to connect at like those very generic like meetup and like foreign exchange type meetups that you will find in Tokyo. And no shade to those people, but for me, I felt like a lot of that connection was very surface level, and not even surface level. It was very much so like transactional. I think that's the word I'm looking for. And when I say transactional, I just mean like a lot of people there were there for the language exchange of it all. And I felt like most of the other English speakers were not really there to meet other English speakers. They weren't trying to make friends. Like, they were trying to learn Japanese. They were trying to, take a step further into assimilating into Japanese culture. And I feel like the Japanese people there were not there for friendship either. They were there for learning tools. So those kinds of very generic mixers, they wasn't what they was supposed to do. And like I said, all of this happened very early on, and I knew no matter what, I was not going to survive a year not having people that I could like talk to, hang out with. It just wasn't going to work. So then I had to start my search, finding my tribe, making new friends in a new country. I started by doing what every millennial does when they're trying to find something. I got on the internet. And now I really wanted to use the Facebook group because when I was still in LA, so many people were telling me about the Black Women in Japan Facebook group, but I don't have Facebook. And if you're new here, you don't know this, but I have a long-standing beef with Mark Zuckerberg. I don't want Facebook. I don't want Instagram. I don't want WhatsApp. I don't want none of it. He can keep it, okay? He can go surveil somebody else, not me, not anymore. Okay, so I didn't want to make a Facebook account just to join that group, so I started leveraging other online areas for friendship, right? Which led me to Bumble BFF. And if you guys remember when I was doing all them Firned Date vlogs, we had a lot of flops on Bumble BFF. We had some success stories. But I'm so sorry. We had a success story. We had one success story. I met Angie on BFF. Everybody else, not my cuppa, okay? From the one girl who loudly proclaimed while we were inside of the Japanese restaurant surrounded by Japanese people in Japan that she hated Japanese people. Craziness. The other girl who I'm giving her a pass now with the benefit of the hindsight, but made me feel incredibly uncomfortable. I know now she was just socially awkward, touch of the tism, so that was fine. At the time I didn't know, and I felt so uncomfortable the entire time. I mean, we got horror stories for days, okay? We actually have, you know what? I'm going to say 1.5 success stories. There was another girl that I met on here. We just don't talk as often, but she's really cool. She was a Japanese girl, Tay. But yeah, like, y'all remember them days. We was in the trenches, okay? And I got to a point where I was this close to making a Facebook page just so I could join the Black Women in Japan group. But then I started seeing that there was a lot of drama in that group. And obviously, like, there's drama everywhere. But I feel like that was God telling me, don't risk your relationship with Mark Zuckerberg for this group, okay? You could find something else, all right? So I decided to take my efforts from online to offline. If you listen to my radio show, then you already heard me talk about this, but I think one of the best places, particularly as a foreigner, to meet like-minded people is at the bar. It just is. The bars, and specifically like the clubs that play foreign music that like cater to foreigners, I think those places are some of the best places to meet new people, specifically people that want to make new friends, people that want to foster new relationships. I think this applies in a lot of foreign countries. I don't necessarily know if it applies in America. So if you're watching this in America, that might not be the best place for you, but if you're in another foreign country, give it a try. I also just was saying yes to a lot of different events, specifically cultural events. I was going to different festivals, museums, and just seeing, hey, do I see people here that maybe look like me? Do I see people here that are maybe interested in the same things I'm interested in here? And really just trying to find places where people were open to communicating. Japan is not a country that does small talk. There are lots of countries that don't do small talk. Americans do small talk. Nigerians do small talk. So small talk is in my blood. I have to do it. So I literally was just finding what are the best places to find people that are into small talk. And one thing that really helped me out was truly just like the power of like word of mouth. You would meet one person and maybe you and that person were meant to be BFFs, but they could introduce you to somebody else and then you could foster good relationships with them. And I have a few relationships that have kind of grown from that, right? So word of mouth, hey, I have a friend I think you would be really cool with. I will connect you to. Stuff like that really goes a long way. And I will just say, don't always expect to have that happen, but always make sure that you are facilitating that if you can. And if you know me, if you're somebody that's been following me since I was living in America, you know I love facilitating connection, specifically amongst Black women. And that is what started me on the path to making hotties in Tokyo. I wanted to connect all of the Black women I knew, plus all of the Black women they knew, plus all of the Black women that they knew together so that we could build bridges amongst one another. See who we can take from acquaintance to friends. And that's still my vision, right? I always say as an example, when people ask me like, what do I think the goal of the group is? I want it to be a place where Black women can get together and find people that can help them with needs that are not being met as foreigners in Japan. For example, hair care is very expensive to have it shipped here. If I as one person only need to buy one bottle of leave-in conditioner, right? The bottle of leave-in conditioner is $10 standard. To ship it out here is also $10. So now I'm paying what the cost is. But if 3 other women need to buy hair conditioner, then we can split the cost and get it down to like $225, $250. Look, we're not here to do math, okay? We can get the cost down really low and everybody gets what they need. But in order to do that, I would have to know other Black women, right? So that was my vision, being able to connect Black women across Tokyo, essentially. And not just to do things on the surface like buying hair care products or even happy hours or brunches or whatever. Sometimes after a long day of microaggressions, because you will experience microaggressions in Japan, you will experience flat out racism here in Japan, okay? And after a long day of dealing with that, sometimes you just want to vent, and it's probably middle of the night in your home country and you just want somebody you can talk to who you don't have to explain the history of microaggressions or why something is a microaggression. Somebody that you can go deeper with, right? Without having to give so much context beforehand. And not just somebody that you could essentially just vent to, but also somebody that could help you further navigate life in Japan as a Black person, specifically as a Black woman, right? Learning from one another. This is a group that I wish I would have had access to when I first moved to Japan. People that could have very quickly told me what was real. Because you know, the people on the internet, they'll just tell you about Japan that's not realistic at all. And I wish I could have had a group that could have given me the real, right? And so that was and still is my overall vision for Hotties in Tokyo. If you watched my vlog, you know we had our very first event last year in November, which is very exciting for me. In total, it was me plus 3 other girls. I knew 2 of the girls and met 1 girl for the first time, but none of the other 3 girls knew each other. So I was able to connect 3 different women across. I need to put like a visual up so I could really know how many connections I made. But I connected 3 women that probably would have never connected without that event. And in that vlog, I talked about how, you know, the turnout wasn't really what I wanted, but I'm also just happy to have a starting point. So this year in 2026, first of all, hold on. It's on white paper because I have to write everything down so you can't see it. But I literally already have all of the events for next year planned out. And the first 2 events, I already have like things reserved for. I'm already in communication with like the locations. I am so excited for these events. My goal is to have at least 4 events throughout the year. My stretch goal is 6, and my miracle blessings from heaven goal is 10. If you're watching this and you're a Black woman who lives in Japan, please check the description box. The website for Hotties in Tokyo is in there. It's gonna have you a link to register, and the basic event flyer is also just on the website as well. So it's already updated for our first one in February. We're gonna do a Valentine's Day brunch, which I am so excited about. We'll probably do pretty in pink theme. And I will say, even though our first event had 4 people, the amount of people who've registered is way more than 4. I want to say we have like 12 people already. They just couldn't make it in November, which part of that was on me. I was so stressed out from work and life and just everything. I don't think I did a great job marketing. So looking forward to redeeming myself with that in February. But yeah, I'm excited for the turnout we're going to have. And I feel like I'm already seeing the benefits of this group, me personally. Every time I post about it, or every time somebody comes across like the old Instagram page and people get to the website and they register and I email them and we're back and forth, I always feel like I'm growing the network bigger for the next person. And as my personal network grows, everyone who's in the group, their network also grows. Do you know what I mean? So as I meet more people that I can connect those people with, those people are essentially getting access to those people via me, and vice versa. As other people in the group meet more people that they can connect other people with, then we all get to tap into that network. And that's really what it's about. I do want to address, because when I first announced it, I got a lot of messages about, can non-Black women in Tokyo join? I think it's very important for different cultures to be able to have safe spaces for themselves. If you want to think of that as exclusionary, that's your right. But I just think it's very important for different cultures to have certain safe spaces, safe pockets, right? That being said, I am going to have a few events that are already planned out that are going to be like hotties and friends, right? Where you can bring people that are not Black so we can all just hang out. Because at the end of the day, a hottie is a hottie is a hottie, okay? If you're not in Japan, or if you're not local to Tokyo, but you are living somewhere and you're thinking, how can I make friends? How can I foster friendship? How can I build community? I do want to leave you some tips that I have learned from essentially doing the legwork on this, honestly. 1, and this is the most important step before you do anything else, you need to evaluate what type of friend you are. How do you show up in friendships? How do you show up when you are the member of community? If you are somebody who, whenever we invite you out, you say no, you need to look at that. If you're that person where whenever we invite you out, you say yes and then you flake, you need to look at that. Okay? And look, I can be just as guilty of it too. Sometimes life be life and life be having hands, okay? And weapons, all right? Sometimes it's unavoidable. I get that. But if that's your brand, if that's what the people around you already know you as, that's probably why you're struggling to make friends. Think about how you exist in community. Are you the type of person where you can only be sociable when you like everyone? Or do you know how to be cordial? Do you know how to put things aside for the common good of the group? These are things you're gonna have to evaluate if you're trying to build deeper relationships and foster friendships moving forward. Second thing, I'm going to recommend you establish a third place. If you're not sure what a third place is somewhere you go that is not work or home, right? Home is your first place. Work is your second place. Your third place is whatever your third place is. I have several third places out here in Japan, and I am grateful for all of them. They all serve a different purpose in my life, from the ramen shop where the oji-sans be helping me with my Japanese, to the bar where I can always go and meet a different foreigner or content creator, because for some reason we always wind up in there. I don't know. Everybody's been at that bar, okay? Find your third place. A little bit of homework. If you take the train wherever you live, next time you get off of work and you're about to go home, get off 1 or 2 stops before your normal stop, or 1 or 2 stops after your normal stop. Get off, look around. What's around? What catches your eye? Once something catches your eye, go inside. Get a feel for the place. Talk to the people that work there. Like, make eye contact with the other patrons of that place. Start to feel out where around you are and you feel comfortable. If you're not a commuter and you drive, do the same thing. Drive 5 minutes out in any direction from where you live. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever your current comfortable driving limit is, right? And do the same thing. Park your car, get out, walk around. What catches your eye? Go inside, get a feel for it. And do that enough times so that you find a place that you want to go back to. And then you go back to that place. And you go back, and you go back, and you go back. And one day you're going to wake up and you realize, hey, this is my third place. I'm a regular here. They know me here. That's what we're looking for. And I think that that's probably one of the easiest ways to start building community and finding places where you can find like-minded people in order to foster deeper relationships. And listen, I love a good organizational meetup, okay? If there are groups and organizations that already exist where you are that you can kind of just tap into, feel free to tap into those. But if there aren't any currently around you, don't let that be the thing that stops you from building the community you want to be a part of. Because sometimes in life, you're not meant to find your community. You're meant to create it. I ate that right on up. Anyway, I'm getting off of my soapbox now. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. You guys said you wanted an update on hotties in Tokyo, so that was it. You are now fully caught up from the beginning of the idea to what we've already done and where we're going in 2026. Like I said, if you are a Black woman in Tokyo, please, 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 please tap in. I hope 2026 is the year that all of you foster deeper relationships, build stronger communities, and never have to feel alone again. See you in the next video. Bye.